Hello everybody! Infernape Shinjo here, and welcome back to my Spring 2018 anime wrap-up, I guess you could call it, Part 2. In the last part, I discussed anime that were new from this season that I watched, and in this part, I'm going to discuss anime that I watched from this season, but isn't new to this season. It'll make more sense when I go into it. But the positive about this video is a lot of the anime that I'm going to discuss in here I've already discussed in previous videos, so I'm definitely going to make sure to focus more on the anime that I haven't discussed more than the ones I have. But let's start this video with Magical Girl Raising Project. And this might be a surprise to a lot of people that have seen it, coming from somebody that says, I love slice of life, I love comedy. Because Magical Girl Raising Project is none of those things. If you haven't seen this show, I would honestly recommend it. It's kinda wild. My friend recommended it to me after we were talking about Gakko Gurashi, which that might give you a sort of a springboard off of what this show is more or less about. But basically the show is the main character becomes a magical girl that has to save the region that she's in. And then there's a magical girl shortage or something like that. They gotta cut the limit of magical girls down. So it's basically to see who's gonna survive. But honestly, I haven't seen many people talking about it. And it's actually funny that I watched Magical Girl Raising Project this season when they have Magical Girl Sight, which I haven't watched it. I don't plan on watching it. But yeah, it was kinda wild. And at the same time, it was kind of strange at first, but at the same time I couldn't look away. Next is Castletown Dandelion, and I did discuss this already, but basically the plot is a large family and one of them is going to inherit the throne, because apparently there's a throne where they're at. I'm not sure why. And so basically all the kids put together their own little campaign to become ruler. And for anybody that has seen the show, who is your favorite character and why is it Misaki? Next is Poco's Udon World. And I was watching this alongside the next anime that I'm going to talk about. And this was just a heartwarming anime that I could watch just when I had a bad day or anything like that. And it taught me about Tanuki, because I knew of the phrase from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, because, what was his name, Garag? I think he was like a Tanuki or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. But it was an interesting show. It seemed kind of jumbled at first, but when you start fitting all the pieces together, then it starts to make a little more sense. But next, the anime that I watched alongside Poco's Udon World is Made in Abyss. Anime of the year from last year, I think? After seeing so many people talk about how Made in Abyss is anime of the year, I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna watch this. I did watch like the first episode a while ago, but I just couldn't get into it, but then I decided to come back to it. And it was kinda wild. Kinda like Magical Girl Raising Project, it goes from 0 to 100 kinda quick, especially that scene right near the end of Made in Abyss, maybe like episode 8 or 9. Whew! I don't know what to say about that. But take it from somebody like me, this anime is anime of the year for a reason. Next is Hana Yamata. And Hana Yamata kind of reminds me of Comic Girls in a way. It kind of flies under the radar from a lot of people. But basically, there's a foreign exchange student named Hana, or Hannah. I think it's actually Hannah. And she meets up with the main character that I can't be bothered to remember her name because it's been a while since I watched the show and she's honestly a little bit forgettable. But basically, Hannah has this unique dance from where she's from, and everybody decides, okay, let's all do a dance and put on a show. Basically, K-On! But with dancing instead. The one thing that I will say about it is the very last episode of it was super predictable, because there was that whole thing of, is Hana going to move? Is she going to stay? But from somebody that's watched a lot of anime, I just knew, yeah, she's gonna stay. There's no question about it. The one thing I wish they would have capitalized on, I think it was episode 1, that main girl is like out in the middle of the night, or when it is night or whatever, and she sees Hana like doing her little dance on top of like a sign or something like that, or maybe a shrine. It was probably a shrine. And she just asked something like, are you like a spirit or something like that? And I really wish that the climax of it was that Hana was actually a spirit all along. I feel like that would have made it a little more interesting, at least in my opinion. And I was just waiting for that kicker to kick right in, but it never did. Next is Aggretsuko. And I'm late to the party talking about this, I know, but it's okay because I'm late to the party talking about basically everything. But basically, Aggretsuko is Retsuko working in an office job that treats her like crap. And I've had a couple of jobs that treat me like crap sometimes, or at least I felt like it, so I can definitely relate to that. And the way they show the jobs, especially with it being animals, it's so hilarious. I do like how the dub of it does take the voice of number 1 from Kids Next Door and make it into a character. I think it was number 2's voice actor as well. Whatever. Next is Anohana, the flower we saw that day. And again, I talked about this already, so I'm just gonna say, it's a sad anime. It will make you feels, and it made me feels. And I think the feels are coming back up now that I'm talking about it. So let's just move on to the next one. The next anime that I watched is the Order a Rabbit. And funny thing about it, I can't remember what year it came out. I feel like it was maybe 2014, maybe 2015. I'm probably wrong on that because I'm wrong with when The Daily Lives of High School Boys was out. But I remember seeing the name float around. Maybe it was Is the Order a Zombie? Maybe that was the anime that I saw the title from. It was Is the Order a something. That's all I remember. But yeah, basically the show is more or less 2 seasons of seeing cute girls doing cute things. But again, I really enjoyed it. It took me out of my mind from the day that I've had, whether it was a good day, whether it was a bad day, whether it was just a day. But Is the Order a Rabbit does kind of leave some questions open-ended. Like, there's this author in the show that knows the grandfather who's turned himself into a rabbit for whatever reason. I don't know if they ever explain it. But the joke of the rabbit grandfather being on Chino's head, him talking, and then everybody saying, "Huh, Chino, I didn't realize you were a ventriloquist." That joke gets old very fast. It got old maybe after the second, third time that it happened. So, I don't know. That's one criticism that I have with it, but overall, it was just enjoyable to watch. Next is Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions, and this is another anime that I've already talked about. So, my feelings on it are brief. I love Season 1. I feel like they could have done without a Season 2. That's just my opinion. Although I guess if they wouldn't have had Season 2, then they wouldn't have had that awesome song that is Vanishment This World. But the major problem that I have with it is Nibutani. I'm not going to go into why. I'll leave the video where I talk about it in the description, so if you want to watch it in full, then there's your invitation. Next is Canon 2006, or as I like to call it, Better Clannad. Because honestly, it's basically Clannad. The main character is kind of snotty, kind of stubborn, kind of sarcastic, and there's a lot of heartbreak. And it's made by the same person, same company I should say. But I enjoyed Canon more than Clannad, even though Clannad did have that overarching thing of him meeting Nagisa, them starting dating. She tries to have a baby. I'm gonna leave it at that because spoilers. Although I feel like anybody that wants to see Clannad might have already seen it, so I don't know. But honestly, nothing against Clannad, but if you want to watch a show that's kind of like Clannad, just watch Kanon, because it's more or less the same thing. Next is K-On! Now, I did mention K-On! A couple of times already, and I know I've seen online that people were talking about how K-On! Started this whole cute girl moe thing. I don't know if that's actually true. I'm not sure if it was like the first anime to do it, but regardless, I really enjoyed K-On! I don't know what it is, but I seem to like a lot of anime where the main girl is kinda clumsy, but well-meaning at the same time. And that's basically Yui in a nutshell. Also, all the characters are so hilarious, and the way they bounce off each other is just so perfect. And coming from somebody like me, I didn't expect that I would like an anime that revolves around music, but I absolutely loved K-On! So, take with that what you will. The last two anime that I'm going to talk about are both going to be discussed at the same time because they're more or less the same thing. Wakaba Girl and Sansha Sanyo. Now, the reason that I say they're basically the same show is the plot of both of them is there's a rich girl that has to adapt to life in high school. Now, the way they get to that plot is different. With Wakaba Girl, she's just there to more or less learn about high school. I don't remember if they ever even explained why she's there other than the fact to learn. But the reason that the main character is in high school in Sansha Sanyo is because her father got fired or something like that. And basically, she's poor, and she eats bread crusts for lunch. But what makes these two shows different is, first of all, Wakaba Girl is so much shorter. Wakaba Girl has 12 episodes, but they're only 8 minutes a piece. Honestly, you could probably watch them in one day if you felt eager enough. But also with Wakaba Girl, it's a lot more comedy oriented, which, again, I love comedy, and the main girl is kind of a ditz, and I love that too. But Sansha Sanyo does take its time to develop all the characters and give their personalities real definition. But I'm not going to discuss anything more on those two because I plan to make a video about them later on, so whenever that comes out, look forward to that. But that covers the second part of my Spring 2018 anime watch, and I hope it's not too long. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed, and if you're interested in me making a video about what anime I'm going to be watching from the summer anime season, then feel free to let me know about that. Otherwise, I'll just watch them in my own spare time. But I'm not going to make this video run any longer than I absolutely need to, so I'm going to cut it here. Have an awesome day, everybody. 日分の学びをカバンに詰め込んでいつもみたい